Welcome to the Waiver Wire. Waiver Wire. Waiver Wire. Waiver Wire. Waiver Wire.
What up? Welcome to the Waiver Wire, where fantasy players become fantasy legends.
What's
we
up,
are
y'all?
back. Dannon made the trek.
Yeah.
The Yukon Trail.
Yeah.
He did not get bitten by a snake. He survived, and he is here. We are happy to have him. It's good to be back. He saw the show last week and he saw the new setup, and we're gonna stick to it this week. We're gonna try to stay on topic.
We're gonna be like real people.
Like Skip. Let me tell you something, Skip. And Skip, let me say this. And Skip, I'm gonna tell you this. The Shannon says all the time. It's hilarious. We're gonna be like Skip and Shannon. I want to be Shannon just because I want to have the lisp. We're gonna get to the first thing here.
I'll be Skip.
Let's go.
First down.
So, NFL football. Oh man, we're so close, bro. We are so fucking close.
I think that's what got me all excited the other night when I was texting you.
Well, because there's preseason football on too, so like it's not real football, but even to look up and see it going on at work and to know that football is that close is like, oh shit.
And also like I was like gonna do some mock drafts, and I was like, well, fuck, I'm not even in any leagues.
Yeah,
so I need to find
at
a league.
Filled up, so Dannon had to step out of that one. So, but I mean, we talked about it, and if you find other people, I'm totally.
I only need I don't know, 5 more people.
I could probably get people at work too to join just a separate league.
I'm thinking just doing like $50 or something, like small, like not
because an
anything.
8-person league is really hard.
Because I want to try this 8-person league.
It's got to be unbelievably hard because every single team is going to be stacked.
Yeah, and so there's a big difference between deciding between 2 really good players and deciding between two really shit. Because so I used to think that people play in these 16-team leagues and shit, and I used to think that shit was harder, but it's not because you're grasping at any fucking straw.
Yeah, and in those 16 or 14-team leagues, I was in a 14.
I was in a 14 one too.
It's more that who got the best player.
Right.
So if you got the star of that year, if you got Derrick Henry that year, or you got the whatever, like the year Todd Gurley went off, like you were gonna win because you were gonna get the most points per week from the top scorer. And let's say you were lucky enough to pair that number 1 with actually a pretty good second pick, you were just going to run away with it because everybody else's teams were probably depleted and no good.
You're playing, so you're deciding between like wide receiver 4s and 5s, going who do I think's going to hit?
Yeah,
and you're just fucking rolling the dice. Whereas in an 18, if you only have 8 teams, you're going to be deciding between 2 really good fucking players.
Yeah,
and there's a real good chance that the one you pick goes off on your bench, and you're going to be so pissed off. And it's really hard. And you're playing more matchups and stuff like that.
Every single person on your bench, the last person on your bench is going to be probably a running back 1, wide receiver. Like they're a starter, so and they're getting real minutes.
And I've never played in an 8-team league. The lowest I've done is a 10, and even then you get stacked teams. And so I have this theory that 8 is actually going to be a harder league than the 14.
I'm down. Yeah, that'll be fun. And for $50, like it's just for fun.
And for $50,
winner take all. I like it. It's
I should probably organize this shit pretty quick.
Well, we got a couple. I think we got like
3 weeks,
20 days, 19 days, something like that. Or 3 weeks.
We could do it like as a waiver wire show, kind of.
Yeah, we could do that too. We could be one of the teams on there. Waiver wire
you have one, I have one, and we'll find 6 other people. And then we'll kind of keep up with it.
5. If we use waiver wire as a, are you saying waiver wire is a team on that 8 team as well?
Oh, I guess we could do that too. Yeah. And then talk about it.
Decisions
we did talk about that.
Yeah, we did talk about that. But I don't know how we would compete against. I'm not gonna lie because
we have to do
if
it
it's waiver wire versus me.
Because we have to, because we're gonna do it fucking live, and
I'm too competitive. I'm already taking this out. There's no way I'm gonna want to beat the waiver wire for sure. So today, this morning, I wrote down some of the injuries on ESPN right now. It was actually the injury little section of the ESPN, NFL, whatever, their little ESPN website. It actually had a lot of information about what the coaches said and what exactly is going on with them. So let's get into it. Not all teams had injury stuff too, okay. All teams had injuries. I'm leaving off, obviously, every single defensive player on here. I'm leaving off. This is only people that will affect what I think.
Fantasy football.
They could get drafted in fantasy football, and they're definitely names that are out there.
So this is a preseason fantasy football injury report.
Yes. Arizona Cardinals. And some of these, I think it kind of affects the way that I'm thinking about what could happen to them. Because if you're starting off with this injury,
right,
that's not a very good sign.
Especially someone like Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray with a wrist injury that I didn't know about. I think they might just be playing it safe with him, and they're trying to keep him out of the preseason, but it's still interesting to hear about, especially with everything else that came with the Arizona Cardinals this offseason. Right. Marquise Brown, their receiver that they traded from the Ravens, is going to be their probably number one while DeAndre Hopkins is out. He is dealing with a hamstring injury that happened in practice. So I didn't know about that.
Which is always not good for speed guys.
That's what he is, right? He's just a speed guy. He's not very big, but he is very, very fast. So him not having that, and you're already down DeAndre Hopkins, I think I was dead on about how they will definitely struggle in those first 6 games and probably not. They're not going to go undefeated for 10 games like they did last year. I just don't see that, especially with San Francisco and the Rams. Now, the Rams got a lot of interesting injuries too, but Zach Ertz, a calf injury that he had in practice. And he's
getting old, though. Huh?
Yeah, and that's another thing too, getting old, and a calf injury is kind of weird in football. I mean, is that going to get better? Is that something that over the season?
I've had a calf injury before, and they suck. Yeah. They're painful.
Yeah, and you're a professional athlete. I mean, and it was tough to get out there and do it.
It was hard to get back on the field.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but I mean, and that's the thing. Like the Zach Ertz, I don't know. It kind of makes me backpedal on all of them fantasy wise. Arizona wise, I don't know.
I'm a little down on Arizona anyways, just because. I don't know. Kyler got paid though, right? So he should be happy. But
yes, there is one guy that I'm finding in the mock drafts that I'm comfortable with is like maybe my last pick. No, my last pick, my very last pick. Rondale Moore. He's a rookie from last year that actually came on at the end of the year and played really well. He was a guy that was picked up a lot in waiver wires. He wasn't monster numbers, but they were consistent, and he was getting the ball thrown to him. I just think without DeAndre Hopkins, I'm willing to run a risk as my last pick of kind of just filling out the end of my bench for Rondale Moore, because I think that early on he could have some success. So let's say in the first couple of weeks, one of my guys gets hurt or just isn't really performing. Hopefully, that's a hidden sleeper for you. But yeah, Arizona, I'm backpedaling on. Atlanta Falcons, their star wide receiver that I think they drafted in 8 or 9 or something like that, Drake London. He got hurt in this first preseason game. They are iffy. I think if he is going to start week 1, but he definitely got banged up, and
nobody cares.
Nobody gives a fuck. And if you were thinking like, "Ooh, I'm going to get that rookie from USC," first of all, don't draft anybody in Atlanta. I know Cordell Patterson. I know people are going to tell you Cordell Patterson, but
I would draft Cordell Patterson. After what he did last year, I'm sorry, you have to.
He was a dual threat last year.
Why would he not be the same?
Because Marcus Mariota.
Yeah, but he's going to have to dump that shit off all the time. He's just going to be this little dinky dunk thing. Oh, bro.
I don't even know if he'll be able to do that. I have zero faith in Marcus Mariota. Zero
faith. Cordell Patterson, I don't know.
But that was Matt Ryan.
Where you can get him, though, I don't know.
I think actually where you can get him is too high for me. That's my problem. Is that
as like your second running back after you've already taken 3 wide receivers?
He's locked in right there at that Elijah Mitchell, Travis Etienne Jr.
Right.
I'm taking all those guys over him.
Yeah, but I'm saying, okay, those guys are gone. You still need a second running back.
I don't know. I think I'd even rather Kareem Hunt. I'd rather have anybody. Again, I'm going with a new strategy this year, which says
Kareem Hunt over Cordero Patterson.
I say no to bad teams.
Yes, but I get that.
And Cordell Patterson had down weeks. He had weeks that weren't
faded.
Yeah, he had weeks that weren't amazing, and why will we think that this will be any different? Yes, let's say their offense, just because of NFL. Usually in the first couple of weeks you see better offense because everybody's healthy and you've got your full squad out there.
Well, it's usually different because they don't practice enough and they don't have as many preseason games. These first couple games usually fucking.
Well, he killed it at the beginning of last year, though.
He did. Well, he didn't kill it because nobody picked him up until after like week 3 or 4. Because I remember talking about possibly picking him up.
Yeah, but it was there in the first couple of weeks, and we saw that it was like, oh wow, this Cordell Patterson actually is getting, he's actually getting targets, and then he had like a monster one of those early weeks. He had like a big early week, but I'm not going to say that might not happen to you again this year. If you draft Cordell Patterson, you might go, look at that. He had a great week 4. Holy shit. He killed it. But I would just be worried about...
I'm not saying I wouldn't be worried. I just think that... I don't know.
See,
I think I'd be okay with it. I've gotten burned by Cordell Patterson before in the past.
I think with my strategy of going after good teams and leaving the bad teams out of it, I think what I'm realizing is that I can have maybe some early woes with drafting people that are not starters or not big names. Like Cordell Patterson's a better name running back than Kareem Hunt at this point, you would say, in fantasy.
Probably.
I would say most people agree with you.
I would think most people would be taking Cordell Patterson over Kareem Hunt.
I would say so.
I would think so.
But in my mind, Cleveland with Jacoby Brissett moves almost into that category of I don't want to draft from, so maybe Kareem Hunt's a bad example. But James Cook, who is the rookie from Georgia that got drafted by Buffalo. Now, Buffalo goes Devin Singletary as a starter. Okay, fair enough. As time goes on, as they are a good team and going to be in some good games, Devin Singletary might get banged up. And now James Cook steps into a starting role on the Buffalo Bills. I'll take that all day over Cordell Patterson. And I realize that early on in the season, it might mean that I'm getting a 0 to nothing from my running back 2 position or from my running back 3 position. But as we go on deeper into the season, I think that these better teams, like Devin Singletary, for instance, at the end of last year,
so would you?
He played really well.
You'd rather have Devin Singletary than Cordell Patterson?
Oh yeah. For sure.
And you can definitely get him instead.
And he might, early on, it might struggle because they're going to throw the ball. They're going to be more offense through Josh Allen than they are through the running game.
You would hope that the Bills have decided to not have Josh Allen be their fucking
that's what they've
back.
said. That's what the coaches said. The coaches said that they don't want that to be an every. Yeah, and I'm not naive to that. I realize that drafting Devin Singletary over somebody like Cordell Patterson or somebody that is on a bad team, I think my concept is that later on in the year they might come up big for me, and that's when I need them. You need them at the end. You need them in the playoffs. You need them when I don't need Cordell Patterson in my Super Bowl getting me fucking 3 points. You know what I mean? Which towards the end of the year when Atlanta's getting their dick kicked in, that really might not be might be what's going on. Anyways, Baltimore's J.K. Dobbins still coming back from last year's surgery, and Gus Edwards dealing with an injury as well. So both of the running backs on Baltimore are dealing with injuries.
Definitely worried about that, man. J.K. Dobbins.
And he's going kind of higher, right? Like people are kind of like, oh, J.K. Dobbins is back this year. This is a good pickup. And I wasn't against that mindset. I like J.K. Dobbins, and I think this might be a good year for him.
If maybe he can stay healthy, apparently.
And we're already starting off like this.
Right.
You go into week 1 with that, it's like man, I don't know.
We saw this. He was out all of last year. Yeah. Now he's coming back off this injury, and he's injured again.
They also had Gus Edwards go out for the year early on last year, so he's right? Or did he play? No, I think he went out for the year.
I think Baltimore had a pretty rough year with their
lots of
running
injuries.
back injuries.
And on the secondary too, they lost somebody else on the second. Anyways,
I'm not really big on Baltimore.
I'm not either.
Anyways.
I'm not either. I think I'm totally backed off on them.
Yeah. I don't even want Jackson.
No, I don't want Lamar Jackson. I don't really want Mark Andrews.
Nah, because he would be the only one.
But you're going to overspend for it.
Yeah, but you got to take him in the second round,
and I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that.
I'd rather have like Schultz from Dallas.
Sure. Dawson Knox.
And those two guys.
Yeah. Even your boy Hawkinson. I think that this is a resurgent year for Hawkinson. I think he has a better year this year.
Well, you can also they're more like 7th, 8th round seems like guys.
Yeah, you don't have to overpay for that. You can wait on that. So
and don't get me wrong, Mark Andrews was a baller.
He was.
Is a baller.
He was.
And will fucking play well.
I think he outscored Travis Kelce.
I think he was number 1.
I think he was number 1. Yeah. So, but Travis Kelce came on at the end and was really good, but that's neither here nor there because Baltimore is what we're on, and I would back off of Baltimore. I would not do it. I would not do it. Carolina's DJ Moore, hurt in practice, is considered to miss maybe 4 weeks.
Oh, really? He's basically the only person that I would want from Carolina. But if we're sticking with I'm not going to draft anybody from shitty teams. I really ain't.
Yeah,
I don't want to pay. There's other good receivers around that same spot. Like
somebody's gonna pick Christian McCaffrey in the first round.
Oh yeah,
hilarious! Why are you doing this? He is going to get over or under 6 games for the year.
Under.
Is it? If there's a prop bet out there that says that Christian McCaffrey will play the entire year. He'll play all 17 games. It's got to be like a 10,000 to 1. If Vegas has got one of those, it's got to be like.
It probably is. Will Christian McCaffrey stay healthy the whole season?
It's probably a good thing to put money on because the win would be so big. Like if you put $100 on that,
crazy
the payout's got to be $1 million. But there's no way.
It'd be what's the odds?
No, the odds have got to be 10,000 to 1. 10,000 to 1. There's no way he plays an entire year. He gets hurt every single year for an extended period of time.
He's just too small.
I don't want nothing to do with Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, he's too small and he's white. Fuck out of here, this white guy. Fucking crazy. But DJ Moore missing at least maybe week
up to
1.
4 weeks.
Well, and that's from now. And I think it was from last week too. So they're saying there's a chance he could play week 1. But even the fact that there's that question mark on him already, I'm good. Leave me out of Carolina. I am good on all that.
Man.
I don't want Robbie Anderson.
Who's throwing them the ball,
Baker. It'll be Baker. They're going to start Baker. And then whenever Baker starts to not look so good, they'll throw Sam Darnold out there.
And they said Baker was hurt all of last season, so maybe
we'll see.
Maybe he's better.
We'll see, but not with. I don't think with that team.
Probably. He's still short.
And white. But in that position, you're allowed to be white. It's one of the only ones you're allowed
to be a white quarter. Matter of fact, they prefer it.
Yeah, they're really hard on the black ones. They actually really like the white ones. If you're a white one, you can be a backup for 12 years. If you're a black quarterback, you got 3 years. Carolina, I'm out. Chicago, I'm definitely out. And David Montgomery still dealing with the injury from last year. He's still, I think they said that he was removed from the PUP list, but it's like that. We're like, he hasn't even been able to really practice at all. I mean, I don't know what the fuck you want with him.
Into the Bears anyways.
People like David Montgomery because he is the bell cow for them, and they do use him a lot, but I'm good on the Bears. The Bears are going to lose a lot of games.
You can have him.
He's one of those ones, like, later on in the year.
Yeah, if you beat me. Yeah. If you beat me with David Montgomery.
Good on you. Good on you. They traded for N'Keal Harry.
I'll let you have that one.
Which I don't think anybody would really draft in fantasy, but it did say that he is supposed to make significant time. So
who is that?
N'Keal Harry was the wide receiver for the Patriots that got drafted in the first round, but they just traded him to the Bears. But I just saw that and was like, oh, that's funny. So they got somebody that they were like, hey, maybe we can bring N'Keal Harry back to life. And then he's out with an injury. Fuck! But yeah, if you're a Chicago Bears fan, I'm sorry. It's not looking too good.
I grew up a Bears fan.
The Bears. But yeah, Bears. No, not now. So Cincinnati.
Now I'm a Texans fan.
Woo! Yeah. From good to better. Cincinnati, Joe Burrow had an appendectomy, had his appendix taken out.
How fun.
So he hasn't practiced and he hasn't played right now. But yeah, I'm with you. I think he's just letting this naturally heal. It's probably a good thing. Like, he played all the way to the Super Bowl, so they had an extended, I think that's what's going on with T. Higgins. He had something from last year that is just still kind of bothering him.
Yeah, you want the Cincinnati receivers. They're going to definitely slam that thing.
Yeah,
it should be a good offense.
Hell yeah.
I'll take both those guys on my squad.
I'll take Joe Mixon. I'll take
Mixon.
And so
definitely Chase.
We did the draft order for my league, and I got second.
Oh.
So really puts me in a weird spot, right?
You might get Cooper Kupp.
So okay, that's where I'm stuck. That's where I'm stuck because I'm almost convinced that number one's going to take Jonathan Taylor. I don't know that, but I'm pretty sure he's going to take Jonathan. I think I'm going to take Jamar Chase at 2. I think so. Is Cooper Kupp going to do what he did last year?
Maybe.
The stats don't say that. History doesn't say that. Very rarely does a receiver do what he did. And then, Jerry Rice did, but that's Jerry fucking Rice. Like,
yeah, but... Fucking 9 loves 10, bro.
10. I know. I go back and forth.
You've been saying, oh my God.
I know, but Jamar Chase.
You don't want Cooper Kupp on your team?
I do.
I hear you. I like Jamar Chase too, and once you say
Jamar Chase is going to go off. That's the problem.
So, do you think Jamar Chase is going to do what Cooper Kupp did last year?
Maybe not what Cooper Kupp did, but do I think that Jamar Chase will oversee him as the number one wide receiver?
I don't know, bro.
I think he's going to be the number one.
You think Jamar Chase is the best receiver in fantasy football this year? I think it's not close. A crazy. You're not. You're not saying crazy shit.
I know, it's so hard. I'm so torn.
But I'm just saying. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do it. I'm saying that you've been preaching.
I know
for the last.
I've been saying he's number one
6 months. That you would take Cooper Kupp number one.
Number one.
Now you have the second pick,
and I'm second guessing.
And you're gonna take Jamar Chase.
But Jamar, you're saying it like it's a bad name. It's a good name. Jamar Chase is gonna ball. I
do know that. I've been taking him a lot at like 5.
And, Allen Robinson being added to the Rams. Look at the injuries on the Rams. Cam Akers, Darrell Henderson, they're both hurt right now. That happened from current practices, so it's not like this is something that was from last year. Cam Akers was out for all of last year.
So they're losing their running backs. Do you think that's going to make him throw
Stafford's
less?
Elbow.
All right. Now you're saying things that might... makes sense.
I don't know.
Joe Burrow's appendix.
Yeah, but that's different, like Matt Stafford's throwing elbow or Joe Burrow's tummy.
But he had the same injury last year.
Okay.
Well, he's been playing through it. That's why they're resting him.
I go back and forth. But some days it's obvious I got to take Cooper Kupp. Some days I'm gonna watch Jamar Chase.
Let me ask you this question: would you be more pissed off if Cooper Kupp does what he did last year again and is the number one receiver?
Who's the number one? The number one.
So if you take
position.
Jamar Chase and Cooper Kupp goes off, would that piss you off? Watching Cooper Kupp go off on someone else's team more than if you take Cooper Kupp and Jamar Chase goes off?
Here's the problem. It's like I've talked myself into that no matter what, both of those are real.
So which one can you live with more?
I think most days I'm Cooper Kupp, but I'm looking
a white boy.
He's a white boy. And that's the thing. I kind of feel like the secondaries are. Oh, that's right. 100% African American, and they might get to the point where they're like, "Fuck this white boy," and I don't want to call injury on anyone. And he did a great job staying healthy last year, but could I see a big injury coming for Cooper Kupp?
Oh, don't say that.
I know, but that's the thing. Am I taking this is Cooper Kupp's 6th, 7th year in the league?
I don't know.
And this is Jamar Chase's 2nd. statistically, the second year is a good year for a receiver. The seventh year receiver,
bro, he just put together one of the best seasons that anyone's ever had. Same quarterback. And that was in his first year with that quarterback.
I don't know.
Oh my God.
I don't know. I've got weeks, okay?
I'm taking Cooper Kupp.
I've got weeks to think about it.
I would take you, Cooper Kupp. I would.
But yeah, so let's keep going here. Dallas.
We got stuck on that.
Yeah,
one.
we did. We've gotten through like 5 teams. Dallas. Michael Gallup is still dealing with his ACL surgery. It will not be there for Week 1. And James Washington, the receiver from Pittsburgh that they signed, had a Liz Frank or something with his foot. Maybe fractured his foot, and he's going to be out 4 weeks.
Awesome.
So Dallas has CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, Ezekiel Elliott. And that's it.
And some other people.
And that's it. They're going to roll out whatever the fuck else they got. I have Dallas plays Tampa Bay Week 1. They're going to get smoked. They're going to get absolutely smoked with all of Tom Brady's new weapons. I have no good feelings about Dallas. No good feelings about Dallas. I don't want CeeDee Lamb. I don't want CeeDee Lamb because... Yes, you will.
You gotta get him in the second round, probably.
Yeah, you gotta
third round, maybe.
Yeah, and there's other guys that I would rather take over him.
Yeah.
So, I guess I would be semi-comfortable with Dak in a 12-team, 1-quarterback league. If it got to a certain point where it's like, okay, I'm drafting like the 10th round, you know, because I am waiting super long on the quarterbacks.
Are you guys doing the super flex?
No. No, they all fought me on it. They all fought me on it. I knew they were. I knew these pussies fought me on kickers. They're still fighting me for the kicker position. You know what I've started to ask them too, which is a hilarious response to get from the kicker fans. Do you stream kickers or do you stick with one kicker for the whole year? What do you think the answer is?
Most of them stream.
Everybody streams. So I'm like, what the fuck do you want this for anyways? Like, so you want this to be your last pick? Like, you're not, so, okay, either you're the idiot, and I'm going to call you an idiot for drafting Justin Tucker in the 8th round because you believe that he's that much better of a kicker than Evan McPherson or any of these other fucking kickers. Like, most good teams that score points, you're going to get 5 or 6 extra points. You're going to get at least 10 points from your kicker every single week. Just because they play for the Bills or they play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and they score points every single week. It's so fucking stupid. Fuck a kicker. Fuck a kicker forever. Shout out Pat McAfee. But
he's
yeah,
a punter.
Well, they're all a bunch of gay hamstrings out there that can just suck it. But yeah. And they would, because they're all gay. Look at how, yeah, I'm attacking the LGBT community. Suck that, algorithm. But yeah, Denver, Tim Patrick tore his ACL.
Oh,
and he's out for the year.
Yep.
Which I guess is a good thing for Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy.
Yep.
Tim Patrick was somebody that was getting targets in years past and was kind of a...
And he's good.
He was a weird, like nobody would draft him, but then he'd be there on the waiver wire and you'd be like, hey, I'll take Tim Patrick. Yeah. But he's out, so that's a weapon gone for Russell Wilson. Kind of interesting to start off the year like that. Detroit, who I'm high on, Jameson Williams from Alabama is dealing with an injury from the last year's college season. He actually didn't do a lot. He didn't run a 40. He didn't do anything like that, just I think because of that injury.
He was their top. He was that top receiver, right?
Top wide receiver. But he got hurt in the championship game. Yeah. But anyways, super fast. Everybody's super excited about him with Detroit. And I think from what was on Hard Knocks, they're just playing it safe so that he can be ready for Week 1.
I remember watched Hard Knocks. I forgot.
Yeah, actually, I'm kind of a hot take. I'm not a big Hard Knocks fan. It's kind of boring. Like it's kind of slow, and it doesn't really like you kind of have to love football, which I do. But sometimes watching him, you're like the hilarious Jeff Fisher quote where he's like, "I'm not gonna go." What was it? I'm not gonna go 7-9 again, and then he went 7-9 because that's who Jeff Fisher was. But yeah, so I will check out Hard Knocks because I've heard this is a good season. I've heard that Dan Campbell, their head coach, is crazy and he says crazy things. So, and then Aiden Hutchinson, the number one pick, number two pick, because they took the other guy from Georgia. But Detroit also has that. I'm not going to pretend to know how to say his first name. Quintez Cephas, I believe it is. Was another good kind of slot receiver that they had, and he got an injury in their first preseason game. So that's two receivers that are kind of iffy for Detroit. That kind of gives me pause on maybe my super. I had them going 8-9. I don't know how close that'll be, but the Vegas has them winning 6 games. I would still say they're over. I like Detroit this year. I think they're going to be a sneaky team. Green Bay is
Yeah, your boy.
Green Bay, who already doesn't have any receivers. They have Alan Lazard and the rookie that they drafted in the second round, Christian Watson. He got an injury in practice. Randall Cobb is dealing with an injury. He is also 47 years old. And Robert Tonyan is still dealing with an ACL surgery from last year. So I am all good on the Packers. I don't even want Aaron Rodgers. I don't want Aaron Jones. I don't want any of these receivers. There's no receiver you can talk me to. I think Green Bay has moved into the do not draft for me.
Well, it's still Aaron Rodgers. I don't want Aaron Rodgers as my quarterback, but because he will be throwing it, and Lazard is his only
Would you take Trey Lance or Aaron Rodgers?
Trey Lance.
Would you take Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers? I'm taking Kirk Cousins.
Probably Kirk Cousins and.
That offense is going to be better than this one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they have more weapons.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
But I would take Lazard.
Would you take Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers.
Derek Carr's new Aaron Rodgers. He got Devontae Adams.
We'll see.
I don't know. If I'm choosing between all those, I'm not taking Aaron Rodgers in any of those situations.
I would take Aaron Rodgers anyway.
I don't want it. I think this is a bad year.
I have to choose between him and Derek.
And listen, he took a deal that is the biggest deal. Nobody's ever gotten $50 million a year for a quarterback. He took it because it is the biggest deal that anyone's ever got. The money is going to set him up for the rest of his days. He'll never have to worry about money for the rest of his life. That's great. But what you sacrificed is that Devontae Adams had to go. You really didn't add anything on defense because there is no cap room to do anything on defense. Yes, you have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, and I think that running game will actually be better this year. It will win them games in their shitty division. They will beat the Bears, and they will probably beat the Lions, or at least split with the Lions. But I'm good on Green Bay. They're going to have a bad year.
I think you can get Lazard for a good price. Because he's the number one.
Somebody's going to catch these balls. And
someone has to catch these balls.
It's true, but I just...
So Lazard in the 10th round.
I don't know if he's there in the 10th, though. I think people are going to take him because where he's ranked in ESPN is higher than that. He's in the 6th or 7th round area. And people are going to do it because they're going to be like, somebody's going to catch these balls. And I don't disagree with that phrase, but
I don't know if I'd want Lazard in the 7th.
Fuck Green Bay, man. I'm not into it. And I kind of thought Christian Watson might be a good, really late round pick because, he is a big bodied receiver, and Aaron Rodgers is going to have to throw to somebody. But if he's already gotten banged up in preseason week 1 for a rookie receiver, that's not a good sign. You need to kind of come out the gate fresh and ready to go.
Yeah.
So I'm good on Green Bay. Jacksonville's James Robinson is dealing with an injury from last year and still been held out so far, has not practiced. But I really think that this is a Travis Etienne Jr. year. I think he takes over. So I'm not big on James Robinson anyways, but I think that he is a name that will get drafted. And but I'm going to pass. If it's James Robinson or another wide receiver, if that's where my choices are, where I end up in the draft, I'm gonna go somebody else. I'm gonna go another wide receiver.
Yeah, I'm good with the.
Yeah, the Jaguars though, I do think they win more games. I'm just not big on him. Darren Waller still dealing with an injury from last year. has not practiced. That's kind of suspect for me. I'm big on Darren Waller. I'm really high on Darren Waller. I think actually I'm going to reach for him and take him a lot earlier than other people will, because I think Devontae Adams frees up the middle of the field, and I think that gives him a lot more open looks. You still got Hunter Renfrow to deal with, and they still have a running game with Josh Jacobs. So I'm big on the Raiders, and I'm big on Darren Waller, but that injury is also, I see it. The Rams, like I said, both running backs are dealing with injuries that have happened in practice. So this isn't something from last year. This is something that they are currently dealing with and are going to go into the year banged up. Matt Stafford's got the elbow injury, and Van Jefferson got hurt in practice. So that being said, the Rams won the Super Bowl. Now, that means that you played longer than everybody else, just like Cincinnati. You played more games than anyone else. You played longer into the year than anyone else. So, let me ask you this. Who is more likely to have a Super Bowl hangover? The Rams or the Bengals?
Well, the Rams, because they won. They don't have that fire burning in there. They don't have that bad taste in their mouth.
I hear that. I actually think most people would disagree with you. I would say most people would say the Bengals who has a better chance of getting back to the Super Bowl. People would say the Rams have a better chance of getting back to the Super Bowl, just because they do still have Cooper Kupp.
That's a different question, though.
They picked up. I agree.
You can still get back to the Super Bowl and have a Super Bowl hangover.
That's a good point.
Super Bowl hangover isn't going to last all season. It's usually just the first few games, and you struggle getting going.
Oh, so you're talking me out of Cooper Kupp? Okay, fine. I'm Jamar Chase then. Fuck. The Rams. It's interesting to note. I don't know. I don't know what happens.
Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp is not on there.
But without Matt Stafford.
Yeah,
you don't want Cooper Kupp.
Minnesota's Irv Smith Jr.
Who that is?
He's their tight end. Their starting tight end. Last year actually was kind of sleeper good pick. He just got put on the PUP. The not gonna play at the beginning of the year list. So that's very
physically unable to perform.
Yes, he's not gonna be there, and that means
sorry, man, I ain't taking him.
That means I'm not drafting him.
Yeah.
And I know that some people will just because he's a name and they'll remember it from last year.
I'm not doing this drafting motherfuckers that are hurt for an extended period of time.
Bad idea.
I don't know, part of D Hop, keep him. Those first 6 games are a big deal.
It is. And he's still, ESPN-wise, it's still got him somewhere in that 6th, 7th round. And I think
you're just not going to get a return on investment there. I want somebody I can use. I need someone I'm starting every week in that round.
Arizona, I'm backing out on Arizona. Yeah. So, New Orleans, Taysom Hill is dealing with a hip injury, and Jameis Winston is still dealing with his ACL surgery from last year. Very interesting that both of them are, I mean, listen, if you go to a Taysom Hill quarterback run team, I've got no hope for you.
I don't really have a whole lot of hope for the Saints anyways. So
if Jameis Winston is 75% Jameis Winston, they might win 7 games. They might win 6 or 7 games, but I don't know what I have them at.
Their defense is gonna have to really be stout.
Yeah, they are. And their season should be a little easy just because of their division, because Carolina sucks and the Falcons absolutely suck. So they'll get some wins there. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm not big on Alvin Kamara because I'm not going to spend like that for a running back.
Nah, and one of the things that you've been talking about is just he's got a lot of miles on him. What the fuck's going on with him fucking assaulting that dude?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's still never been brought up. I forget about it all the time, but that's going to come back to light at some point. Yeah, I'm good on Alvin Kamara. I'm good on Michael Thomas. I had him
last year, I think. And
you took him. He was your first round pick. Yeah, the Giants, they have 2 receivers, Kadarius Toney and Darius Slayton, both young little stars that they have. Oh, and Sterling Shepard is on the PUP list as well. So a lot of their receivers are hurt, and that means that I guess Kenny Galladay, if you feel that way, if you think the Giants are going to be better,
man, you can keep the Giants.
I'm good on the Giants. The New York Jets, man. What a bummer for these guys, bro. He's going to have surgery. He's going to have MCL surgery. It's doubtful. It's a scope, so it's not like a season ending. But it happened in preseason week 1 where he got hurt, and it's like, man, like they do all this good stuff in the draft. I think they really are about to turn a corner. Zach Wilson could have a much better year, and then boom, week 1. Preseason week 1. Fuck the preseason, man. I have no idea why they do the preseason. They should have joint practices. They should do those joint practices. I don't know if they should be filmed or not, but whatever. And then let's just go straight into week 1. The preseason is ridiculous. These guys know pretty much who they're going to sign to the 53-man team roster. I don't think it really has that big of a difference, anyways, I just hate the preseason, and look what happened. Now the Jets season could be completely over now if this guy's got an injury that he's dealing with all year. So Zach Wilson went down, and that does change my mind a little bit on the Jets. There were Jets that I was like, I'll take what's your boy Corey Davis. I'll take him in the 9th or 10th round, because I think the Jets might be better. Yeah. But now I don't know. Now maybe
somebody gotta catch these balls.
Somebody's gotta catch these balls.
Man, I don't know. He didn't really do anything last year for me anyways.
That's true. But they picked up, I know. I see the moves that they made, and they really did. They spent money in free agency, and they're trying, but I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
I'm not real excited about the Jets.
Yeah, heard that, as no one should be. Philadelphia Eagles, who I am high on, and I'm high on this guy, even though it's said that Miles Sanders is dealing with an apparent leg injury. So I'm real high on Miles Sanders. He might be my first running back taken because I'm going to wait that long on running backs. And I'm just big on... now, there was a couple of years ago where he was a home run hitter. He could break out for 80-yard touchdowns, and he's super fast, and I remember really liking him. He also can catch the ball. So I don't know if maybe I'm just remembering him wrong, and maybe I'm a little too high on him. I think maybe Elijah Mitchell, Miles Sanders, Travis Etienne Jr., that's where I find myself in the mock drafts when I'm finally drafting a running back. Now, who knows what happens in a real draft? Mock drafts aren't always dead accurate, but Miles Sanders I'm still high on. I'm still going to do it if I have the chance. But the injury is glaring to me that it's had apparent leg injury, but I'll keep an eye on it. Boston Scott, who is their backup, also dealing with an injury from practice. So both of the running backs for Philly are kind of banged up. But I think that this is more of a Jalen Hurts, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Reagor. I think they're throwing the ball a lot more than they are running it. Which
they were the number 1 rushing team last year.
Right? Interesting that they were the number 1. That really came on later in the year, and I think that's one of the reasons that I'm high on Miles Sanders is that I realize both of my running backs might be a situation where they might not give me anything in week 1. I could end up with fucking goose eggs out of my fucking running backs in week 1. However, as the year goes on, I think they're an investment. I think it's that later on in the year, these running backs are going to come into play a lot more and could have much more consistent, better games to where if you want to draft Christian McCaffrey in the first round, I'm going to beat you because you're not going to have a running back and my running back's going to be good. So that it's a crazy strategy. It is not at all last year I drafted 3 running backs in my first 3 picks. And so and it went terribly. It went fucking as terribly as it could have gone. So I'm switching it up. I'm going the other way. I'm going receiver heavy. So, but yeah. Pittsburgh, Claypool, and Deontay Johnson both dealing with injuries. That's very telling to me. I mean, first of all, I don't know how good Mitchell Trubisky's gonna be. I'm not big on it, and I think that they're a Najee Harris team. I think they're gonna run the fuck out of the ball with Najee. So Deontay Johnson is interesting. I know that he's gonna get drafted at least higher than Chase Claypool.
He was good last year.
Yeah, but for him to be dealing with an injury is not a good start. So
I don't really want any of the Steelers anyways.
Yeah, I'm out on the Steelers. I'm out on Mitchell Trubisky, and even though I drafted Najee Harris last year, and I do think Najee Harris will have a very good year, I understand if you take him in the first round because they're going to use the fuck out of him. He will be the bell cow. But the Steelers are going to suck, and I just know that there's going to be weeks where he gets you like less than 10 points, and I'm not big on the Steelers either. Elijah Mitchell for the San Francisco 49ers, dealing with an injury from last year. I think that they're just playing it safe with him. Seems like they're just trying to keep him out of preseason so that he's healthy for week 1. I'm big on Elijah Mitchell. He's another one that's right there in that area where I think I'm going to have to draft. He's fast. It seems like without Raheem Mostert there, it will be more of like he's getting 3. He's like a 3-down back, and he gets a lot of them. So I'm big on Elijah Mitchell, but I do see that he's still sitting out. Rashad Penny, who is Seattle. Seattle actually has a couple of running backs that they're going to roll out there. I forget the other rookie's name that they took really high, but Penny is dealing with an injury from preseason week 1 that he got. Apparently might miss week 1.
Could be wrong on this, but I feel as though he's been hurt a lot in his career, hasn't he?
Yes. And I'm good on Seattle anyways because
Seattle.
I thought it was going to be Drew Lock. It looks like it's going to be Geno Smith.
Oh, shit.
They're going to start Geno Smith. So Seattle's going for that number 1 pick. I definitely don't want anything to do with any Seattle anything. Even DK Metcalf, I am totally... You're going to have to overspend for it, and he's going to struggle. With Geno Smith, he's going to struggle.
You don't want that.
No. Or Tyler Lockett. I don't want Tyler Lockett. I don't want anything to do with it. Yeah, their careers are going to take a dip this year for sure. Tom Brady... it's not an injury. He just has stepped away for personal reasons. A lot of people are speculating that this was kind of built into him coming back. Like he wanted to spend more time with his kids. And what the fuck does he need with the preseason? You know, like
he's not gonna play.
Tom Brady does not need a preseason.
He's gonna make the team.
Yeah, I think he's good. Who's going to be starting week 1 in Tampa Bay? I'll give you one guess.
So all the other guys probably also.
Yes. Godwin, of course, is coming back from ACL surgery, so they're not going to let him play in any preseason games. And I think that they're just trying to be safe with both of these other guys. They don't want to go into week 1 without any weapons for Tom Brady. So what is the point for rolling these guys out there for? And plus, their receiver room is stacked.
Yeah, but this
Julio
is probably
Jones.
the year that Brady goes downhill, you know.
Yeah.
Falls off the cliff.
Falls off the cliff. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, last year he was terrible.
It's going to happen. Josh, it's going to happen.
It's definitely going to happen.
I want to prepare you mentally for the inevitable.
Max Kellerman said so. Max Kellerman said so about 6 years ago. No, that is absolutely not true. You're going to have to drag the man off the field. When you said goes down, I think one of my biggest fears in life, not just, the sports world, but in my personal life, is that Tom Brady will like Joe Theismann his leg. And that's
not what I meant. I meant decline, like he's... But
he is a 45-year-old man, and it's not out of this world to think that an injury could happen. First of all, the guy's amazing.
Pliable.
He gets rid of the ball so fast. He's not scrambling. He's not gonna extend the play. Now, he's lost 3 starting offensive linemen from last year, including his center Ryan Jensen, who is going to be out for a long time. So that's bad. Now, Tom Brady can make anybody look good, and he might make these offensive linemen that step in look like world beaters because he's getting rid of the ball in 2 seconds. But it's just, it worries me. I always worry about my man Tom. Like I said, this doesn't even have to do with sports. Tom Brady goes down with a Joe Theismann injury. I'm gonna feel it like I'm a twin. Like I'm gonna all of a sudden I'll just be standing there and I'll collapse because my leg will be in pain as well. Me and him are connected. He's my soulmate. And don't tell my wife I said that. Still gonna draft him. Still gonna draft Tom Brady. If
you're gonna take him?
Oh fuck yeah!
Off the cliff, bro. I can't believe it.
I would not be surprised if he's number 1. He was number 1 for a very long time. It wasn't until about week 15 through 17 where Josh Allen surpassed him as the number 1 quarterback. But Tom Brady was number 2. And look, adding Julio Jones and Russell Gage, They're going to have a fucking good year. They're going to have a good year. Leonard Fournette's going to be back, and I'm taking Buccaneers for sure. I'm actually real high on Mike Evans. I think he might be my second pick. I think, especially early on, if Chris Godwin's not back at 100%, I think Mike Evans could be catching a lot of touchdowns. We got no Gronk.
Somebody's got to catch these balls.
And not just
Mike Evans going to catch
not just normal balls, touchdown balls. Yeah. And in the red zone, he already likes Mike Evans.
Yes.
But there's no Gronk. There's no Chris Godwin here.
I can see Mike Evans having the most touchdowns this year.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm big on Mike Evans. And I take Chris Godwin later, too, because he's there later on in the rounds because of the injury. So if he falls to you in the 8th or 9th round, whoo, boy, I'll take that.
Is he going to be playing week 1?
No, probably not. But again, Julio Jones, I'll take Julio Jones in the fucking... he's the other one that is there as my last pick. It's like Rondell Moore or some of these other kind of no names, but Julio Jones I see him sitting there every single time when I get to my last pick, and I'm like, fuck yeah, I'll take Julio. If Julio is what they say what they're going to do with him, which is he's going to fill into that Gronk role, run a 10-yard stop, and just get open for me. Tom Brady loves that, and it's big body Julio Jones. I'll fucking take it. I'll take it all day. I'll take Russell Gage. I'll take all the Buccaneers. You can give them all to me. Leonard Fournette. I'm obviously a homer for my home, which is Tom Brady. Tennessee's Robert Woods is dealing with the ACL surgery from last year, so he still hasn't practiced yet.
He could be a good pickup, though.
No!
Yep.
Fuck that guy! Fucking screwed me so hard. I drafted that guy. I thought it was gonna. I drafted him in the 3rd round. Cooper Kupp was taken in the 6th round. So I wasn't the only one that slept on Cooper Kupp, but Robert Woods, man, I took him high last year because I was so sure that this was going to be the year that he was going to blow the fuck up, and fuck Cooper Kupp. I've had Cooper Kupp in the past, and he's fun. That's the other thing, too. I've had Cooper Kupp in the past, and Cooper Kupp, in the past, before Matt Stafford, it was so inconsistent. You would have weeks where it was like, oh, he got me fucking 30 points this week, awesome. And then the next week he'd get you 2. So I'm going to look at it. I go back and forth, man. I know what he just did. I get it with Cooper Kupp, but fuck Robert Woods. And also fuck Robert Woods because without A.J. Brown, you're pretty much asking this guy to be the number 1.
He is the number 1.
Okay, but I don't think he is that. I don't think he's got that in him. So
but he's gonna get balls.
Somebody is, but
and it's not gonna be a bad team.
Know, because are they not? Because they're basically just a Derrick Henry team again. So I don't know if Robert Woods is gonna catch that many balls because who's gonna run the ball the most?
Who's gonna run the ball the most?
Probably the Titans.
Maybe
the Titans or the Steelers. It's one of those 2 teams, or the Colts maybe, but the Colts will be more balanced because they got Matt Ryan. So I don't know. I don't.
Tannehill's not a bad quarterback.
Ooh, he's moving in that direction. It's not getting better, is it?
When he has somebody to throw it to him, and when A.J. Brown came back last year, he seemed fine.
I think I'd pass, but A.J. Brown's not coming back.
Well, I know, but Robert Woods is that guy now.
But Robert Woods or A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown is substantially better than Robert Woods. I don't know. I think I'm moving more towards Tennessee's moving to my. I don't really have much that I want. I'm not going to take Derrick Henry, obviously, because he's going to be taken in the 1st round. But I don't know. I'm kind of. I don't really know what else I would draft from the other than Derrick Henry. If you're saying Ryan Tannehill, I think
I'm not drafting Ryan Tannehill.
Would you take Tua or Ryan Tannehill?
Oh God!
But if you wait,
who cares?
Well, if you wait,
Tannehill, I'm still taking Tannehill
over
Tua.
Yeah. I think Tua has a better year. I think
for how many games? What's the over under on him getting hurt?
It's
because he's getting hurt this year for sure.
I don't know
what. Get the fuck out of here! He's smaller than Kyler Murray.
He plays 12 games. He plays 12 games, so he misses a few, but he plays 12 games. Because listen, Miami went for broke.
We don't even know if he's any good yet.
Miami went for broke, though.
You don't even know if Tua's any good.
They went all out, bro. They got offensive linemen for him.
He better be good this
year.
year.
They got defensive players. They got Tyreek Hill. They got.
They're preparing to get Tom Brady next year.
I know. I really think that's what's gonna happen.
That's what they're setting this up for.
Yeah.
Or I mean, like, because I guess with all those guys, they can't fucking really suck. But
yeah. But yeah, man, we have talked about football for a long time. We'll just finish it up here with that. The Washington Commanders. Logan Thomas is on the PUP list. He is not going to be there for week 1.
He's always hurt too.
Always hurt, and I'm totally good on the Washington Commanders. I know people like Terry McLaurin, and I know people like Antonio Gibson, but I'm good because I think the Commanders are going to have a really bad year. I do not believe in Commander Carson Wentz, so I'm totally good on Washington Commanders. But these are the injuries that were on ESPN today. There are some teams that are not even on here, but it does affect going in here to your fantasy football. So I thought I'd throw those out there so you could hear it from your favorite fantasy football podcast, DraftKings. Back that Brinks truck up. We're waiting for you. We keep waiting for you. Next!
Second down.
Baseball! We are back with some baseball news that the Houston Astros are really good at the game of baseball.
Yeah. We're gonna win a World
I know
Series
we just
again.
keep repeating ourselves here on the waiver wire, but that's
McCullers looked really good.
Oh my God, when McCullers looked like that, I was like, holy shit, we got an overwhelming amount of pitchers now.
Yeah.
Now it's crazy. Like, now we're gonna have somebody like Christian Javier or
coming out of the pen.
Luis Garcia being a long relief, because at this point you can't. Fromber's number 2 because Fromber is so good. So it's Verlander, Fromber, and McCullers. If he plays like that, I mean, McCullers has got to have that spot. But Jose Urquidy is killing it. There's no way that you don't have Jose Urquidy in a 4-person rotation. Like, there's no way. And oh, by the way, Luis Garcia is one of our young guns that has played really well. He played good last year in the playoffs, but he might end up as a long relief for his number 5. So,
yeah,
man, we are. And dude, I didn't realize this because I am kind of down on our bullpen a lot of time. Like, oh, I fucking hate Ryan Stanek and Matone and shit like that. Our ERA for our bullpen, it's not just it's obviously number 1 this year. We are number 1 by far. It's over the last like 80 years, we're one of the top 5 bullpen ERAs in the last 80 years, going back to like the fucking 30s, and like it's
they had bullpens in the 30s.
Oh,
I thought the starters,
but they didn't use
like
exactly
18 innings.
That's why a lot
shit.
of those teams that are on that list are from a long, long time ago, because the bullpen, if they did have one,
they're like one dude.
They came out like they came out like once a week. They were like, "Hey, we need you." He's like, "Oh shit, for real? Okay, yeah."
He was the left fielder.
He was fresh as shit and ready to go. But Houston surpassed the Yankees as the number 1 seed, so we will currently have the number 1 seed. The Yankees will be number 2. Cleveland Guardians took over the Minnesota Twins and are winning that division, so they will be the number 3 seed. And then your wild card teams right now are the Seattle Mariners, the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Toronto Blue Jays. And then, crazily enough, from that same division, Baltimore, the Baltimore Orioles are only a game and a half back. How stacked is the the AL East?
Yeah.
Holy shit!
Boston's the only one that's not. The only one, and they're 5 games back.
They're only 5 games back. So that entire division is not a bad teams at all. And Toronto and Tampa Bay probably will be the ones that make it, because they probably should hold off the Orioles. I'm just guessing. But yeah, the Chicago White Sox, actually, that we just lost to last night in a fucking terrible. We were tied in the 8th inning, and we gave up a couple of runs in the 8th from our reliever Montero. So I guess that goes against my little bullpen thing that I just said. But yeah, we lost that game last night. But we're so far ahead in our division. We're so far ahead that I feel like we're kind of like. I mean, we're also so far ahead of the Seattle Mariners, who are the number 4 seed and will be one of the best wildcard teams. We're like 14 games ahead of them. So it just shows you how much we've kicked ass this year, and
they're doing really well.
The AL I think is all but settled. I really don't believe in 3 through 6. I don't believe that they'll be able to beat the Astros or the Yankees. I think that ALCS is set up, so I think the AL is actually pretty locked in. But the NL, I don't feel the same way. It's more wide open, in my opinion.
What's this?
Tatis?
I didn't see that, no.
Oh, yeah, bro. Fernando Tatis Jr.
So there goes the three-headed monster, at least for this year. Huh?
I mean, he hadn't even come back yet. He was still coming back from injury. He hadn't even played yet. But
so does he start serving his suspension now?
Yep, immediately.
Even though he's hurt.
Well, but he was rehabbing and he was getting ready. He was in the AAA system about to come and play. So he has been on his rehab assignment. He was here, and like a lot of people when they take steroids, like Andy Pettitte, it's to recover. So a lot of people are saying that that's what happened, was that he took something to try to get himself back in the game. Especially probably after they made that trade for Juan Soto, he was like, I got to get back in here. I got to help them win. But yeah, San Diego, they're the number 6 seed right now, and that completely takes him out of it. But yeah, I hate the performance-enhancing drug thing. Man, let him fucking... Who gives a fuck? This guy's taking something because he wants to come back and play for his team, and we're fucking penalizing this guy for it? Get the fuck out of here. Don't you want the best teams out there? Don't you want the best? Don't you want the best versus the best? Don't you want to see this three-headed monster baseball? Shut the fuck up. Go take a seat. As they get drafted, they should walk across the stage. They should receive their jersey and say, thank you so much. And then standing on the same stage as a doctor, and he's got a thing of Demerol and HGH and TRT, and he says, pull your pants down, son. And they just they hit you with a shot. Every single person that gets drafted, as soon as you enter the league, you should be given every bit of steroids.
We want you to be as strong as you can.
Yeah! I want superheroes. Can we not make a superhero? Can we not give J.J. Watt all the HGH in the world? Can we see what that looks like, please? Can we get Aaron Donald on the best steroids that money has to buy? Can we make Bane? Jesus! Anyways, the LA Dodgers over in the NL, when did they win 80 games?
I don't know.
How am I sleeping on this team so much? And I know that I said at the beginning of the year, I mean, we talked about this all-star, when they got Freddie Freeman and Mookie Betts and all this shit, it's like, I mean, they have the best team. They have a fucking NL All-Star teams on their starting lineup. But I do think with the way that Jacob deGrom came back and pitched, if you're going to ask me right now, NLCS is Dodgers versus the Mets. If Scherzer plays like Scherzer and DeGrom plays like he has been playing, DeGrom is nasty. Yeah. That's unbelievable shit. His slider's 100 miles an hour and it moves the way it does. Get the fuck out of here. He doesn't even he doesn't change his fingers from the way he throws his fastball to his slider.
Really?
How fucking crazy is that?
Yeah.
So the batter can't even see it.
You don't know.
The batter's like, oh, it's a fastball. That fucking thing moved across the plate. Like, it's unbelievable. And he's throwing them as fast as he's throwing his fastballs. I'm blown away by Jacob deGrom. But yeah, I think the Mets actually are coming on hot, and they're the number 2 seed. And I know that the Dodgers are the Dodgers, and I think that is all but set in the NL. However, I will say, the Cardinals are playing really well right now. The Braves are playing really well right now. And the Braves are actually not that far behind the Mets. They're 71-46, and the Mets are 75-41. So I could very much see a world where the Braves upset somebody in the playoffs. The Phillies actually have played really well, and if Tatis had come back, I would have said, you've got a three-headed monster there with the Padres that are going to be tough. But now that Tatis is out, and the rest of the Padres lineup, it's not really anything to write home about. I'm not really... I mean, yeah, they have those 3 guys, but then after that, what do they have? Like, Jerks and Profar, like, I don't know. I'm not really blown away by the Padres. I think they'll get bounced very early on. I think the Cardinals, that's the matchup will be the Cardinals versus the Padres in that little wild card round. And I think the Cardinals easily take care of that. Milwaukee lost their lead, and St. Louis is now leading that division, and they are 2 games out of the wild card, so you might see Milwaukee going from winning their division for most of the year to not even making the playoffs. I don't know why they made some of the trades they did, where they traded away their star closer and things like that. Maybe they were looking at a rebuild instead of maybe they saw the Dodgers and said, "There's no way we're beating that team. Let's scrap this and try again next year." But the San Francisco Giants are 5.5 games out. I didn't mention the San Francisco Giants or the Boston Red Sox because they are 5 games out of the wild card. You would assume at this point in the year that's probably an insurmountable. Yeah, that's quite a bit. Probably not going to make it.
We got a month left, maybe.
Yeah. So, but I did just want to mention those is that they are there. But in the NL,
anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Run, but
yeah,
unlikely.
Sure. But baseball. Houston Astros.
Let's go Astros.
We're winning the fucking World Series. I'm going to the game on next Tuesday to a second row in the Crawford boxes.
Oh yeah, you told me.
I've never sat in the Crawford boxes, so we're playing the Twins. So I want to boo Carlos Correa. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, I still like Carlos Correa, but when they boo, I'm going to join in. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait to go. Haven't been to a game all year, but hopefully we get the win. Hopefully I catch a home run because the Crawford boxes, usually get a ball hit over there. Yeah. So hopefully I'll catch a home run. But yeah, baseball, Houston Astros, suck a dick from the back.
Third down.
Welcome back to the Conspiracy Hour.
This is third down.
Yeah, third down. Welcome to the third down. Yeah, so conspiracy theories. I talked about it by myself last week, and
I felt left out.
Yeah, he was mad. He texted me. He was like, "God damn it!"
Like that's what I wanted to talk about.
That. Fuck all this football shit. So I wanted to talk about it again. I won't bore you with. Well, I will. I'll bore you with my takes again. But I'll let Dannon kind of talk about how he feels about him. But JFK was the first one I brought up.
Right.
You don't obviously believe that it was just Lee Harvey Oswald, do you?
Well, I mean, the fact that Jack Ruby took him out right afterwards.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's
kind of telling.
And they were also just like walking him, like 2 cops like walking him through a crowd. Like, nothing to see here, just a man that killed the president.
Yeah, and didn't Jack Ruby work for the CIA or some shit?
Yeah. He was also killed in jail. Jack Ruby was killed in jail, so that's usually the conspiracy there is that's how it goes. So, but
that one's pretty no-brainer to me.
And I wasn't alive for it, but when you look up more about everything that JFK stood for, and he was very anti-war.
Somebody wanted to take him out. A lot of people wanted.
Yeah, he was not going to get away with this, and there were plenty of people in America that had agendas of why they wanted to take him out.
He was trying to clean up the corruption, I believe, in Washington, and you can't. They ain't gonna have that shit, man.
Ask not what your country can. What is it? Ask not
what you can do. What your country can do for you.
Ask what you can do for your country. But he was. A lot of his speeches. Like I watched this one whole speech about how he didn't want stuff being private from what the government is doing, as far as NSA, FBI, CIA. He was very like.
Oh damn, that's why, dude. You can't go after the CIA.
But he was. He just wanted it. It wasn't that he was going after it. He said that it should be presented to the people. That it shouldn't be something that we keep secret. It should be something that we talk about out in the press. Absolutely. I mean,
but that's why they took him out. For sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. And they've done the little they
took out his son.
They've done so many tests where they've tried to do the amount of shots that were shot, the amount of gunshots that you hear, and the accuracy from the distance that he supposedly did this from. There's no fucking way. The magic bullet is fucking ridiculous.
Knoll.
Yeah, there was somebody on the grassy knoll.
How many people were in the car?
I think there was him, his wife, security, and a governor next to him. There's 2 security in the front, and then there was a governor or somebody. There was a senator or somebody sitting next to him. Anyways,
that's one of the Mandela effects is how many people were in the JFK car, because there was 6 apparently.
Oh, really?
It was like a 6-seater. There was the 2 agents driving, and then him and Jacqueline were in the back, and then there was like the governor of
something
Texas
like
and his
that,
wife or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. And the governor got hit.
I don't know.
Yeah, he got hit in the leg. And the security guard in the front got hit through the arm, and I think the
So do they know how many shots were fired then?
They do. Well, that's the thing, is that they don't. The whole thing is
yes, but they won't tell you.
Yeah, they're like, one shot was fired from Lee Harvey Oswald. That's enough questions. Questions. No, but I mean, I think that at the end of the day, that Donald Trump was going to out when he was about to say a bunch of secrets, he was going to talk about aliens and he was going to talk about JFK, and he got shut down at the last minute. That's why he can't let people like Donald Trump be president, because they're like, what? Holy shit!
Well, Donald Trump once said that he was going to try to clean up the shit too.
Yeah,
so.
he did. Yeah, it's impressive that there was never an assassination attempt against him.
I thought so too.
I don't mean just because of that stuff, but I mean just because of how polarizing he was. Like, it's crazy that nobody ever made an attempt. Not that I ever heard of.
I don't know if I've ever seen anybody hated so more than Donald Trump.
Yeah. Aliens.
Also a no-brainer, at least to me.
No-brainer, yeah.
I mean,
and we have
the probability.
Well, and now with everybody having a camera in their pocket, there's a lot of footage, bro.
Yeah.
Like, if you go online, you go down the rabbit hole of UFO sightings on YouTube, you will be there for days.
Oh, yeah?
You will be there for days and days
Maybe
and
I'll
days
go down that rabbit
going,
hole.
holy shit. Oh, what the fuck is that? Oh, what the fuck is that? So, one of the things that I talked about on last week's podcast with the aliens that I had never really thought about, but Jeremy Corbyn was on Joe Rogan, and he did the Bob Lazar documentary, and so he's a big UFO head, and he gets all this stuff. And one of the things that he recently came across that I had never really thought about, but it might be my new alien, that might be what it is. He said, think about how far we've come in technology in 100 years. Well, think about how far we'll be in 2,000 years, 3,000 years, 4,000 years. Our technology could be so far advanced that we could have time machines, interdimensional, being able to jump back and forth from dimensions or whatever you want to call it. And why would it not make sense that if we're that far in the future, let's say 4,000 years from now, we're still us human beings on this earth, and we've just figured out how to survive, and whatever's happened to the planet has happened, and we're like, you know what? Let's go back in time and see the dinosaurs, see when the civilization started, see the pyramids, that's why there's sightings all throughout time. We have, ancient paintings in Mayan, ruins where it looks like there's a UFO that they drew in the sky. And it's like, yeah, because now the other possibility that they're from another planet, I can totally see that too. And I can see that.
But we know that there's galaxies that are billions of years older than us.
For sure.
And so, again, same theory, they have this technology.
Yeah. It might not even, they could have this technology and be jumping dimensions or jumping planets and not even be from here. I totally see that as a possibility as well. But the big thing is that if you believe that there are not aliens...
It's just the probability is too...
It's just crazy. Yeah. That's crazy that you would believe that.
There's aliens.
There's absolutely aliens.
I think the FBI actually released... Didn't they say that...
Yeah. They actually released a lot of footage recently, like the Commander Fravor. The Commander Fravor footage that they have is from a Navy pilot that is... or an Air Force pilot. I don't know. I think they're in the Navy. But the Navy are out there, and they see this little... They call it a tic-tac. They can see this thing on their radar, and they are filming it from the cockpit footage has film of this little thing just moving super fast. They're flying super fast, and then it sits, and then in a blink of a second it disappears. And when it disappears, it ends up back at their cap point, which is where, so it interferes with their radar when it disappears, and then it ends up the ship, the Navy ship that's right there, can see it where their meeting point, the Navy's meeting point for these planes, they were going to go out, do a route that they had mapped out that they were going to do, and they were going to meet back at this point, and that's where that thing showed back up on the radar. So it looked at the Commander Fravor, who was on the Joe Rogan, said there's no other possibility in my mind than it looked in our manifold, it went into our technology and saw where we were going to meet, and then it went there. He's like, there's nothing else you can tell me. Why would it go to that random spot that was also 20,000 feet below where they were at the moment? So it went 20,000 feet in a blink of a second, and it ended up in the exact spot that they were going to meet at. So it's like, he was like, that was, to me, that was the moment where I realized this is not of Earth, or this is not something that we're doing. This is something that's beyond us.
Right.
And there are 100% aliens. There are 100% aliens, and I think over time they might give us more and more information, because I think as they've slowly started to put stuff out, I think that back in the day they thought there would be an uprising. I think back in the day this country was so Christian and they were so right wing that they just thought if we released that there are
Everybody'd
UFOs,
freak out.
everybody would freak the fuck out. But
it would though. I never even thought about that, because it just throws a fucking wrench in any of your religious beliefs.
Yeah. You say that, the Bible is very specific. So if you believe what the Bible says and you go with that, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, by the way, there's this thing. There's also an infinite other amount
Jesus
of possibilities.
die for them too?
That's not the only possibility, by the way. If you say that to a Christian, they go, oh, you're a liar!
Yeah.
Jesus was stabbed through here and hung like this. And it's
Which is maybe probably true.
Yeah, probably.
But, I'm sure they did kill him.
Sure.
No, but
I don't know. I'm actually going down the road of that a lot of the Jesus story is probably made up, because if you look at
because the
Old
Catholic
Testament
Church,
to New Testament is so funny to me, because what is it? The Old Testament is like the wild shit where it's like
all the
Abraham and
God was angry back then.
angry as fuck, right? So, but the Old Testament, like, people just kind of more accept that those are fables, those are stories to kind of give you like an anecdote that you can take out of it, where you can take you can take a story and go, oh well, what you're supposed to learn from that is to like
from this,
be a better father, or like be a better neighbor, or something like that, But then the New Testament, that's all about Jesus, that's about his life, and that's about what he did and how he died for our sins, and this man came and was a perfect man, and we could have been perfect, but we couldn't handle it, so God took him back. It's so ridiculous. But the point is that I think that even though that follows one storyline, which is Jesus Christ, it's still equally as batshit crazy. It's still equally as crazy. And I think that when they were coming up with these stories, because the reason for these stories was because they were passing these down from generation to generation to try to
weren't
teach
writing them down,
but it was to make the young people know the difference between right and wrong.
Right.
They had a sense of what murder was wrong.
Right.
So let's come up with a story about
to give
why
you,
murder was wrong,
some moral foundation,
and why the gods told us that murder was wrong.
But the other thing with religion is it's a very good way to control a massive amount of people, and so that once the kings start taking over. These religions, and then there's a country's religion, because that's what your fucking king believes.
And you think pharaohs and shit didn't figure that out as well?
Well, then they write it down. They change the shit they want to change, because they're doing it now,
and they make that law.
Yeah,
they make that's what everybody has to follow. You all have to believe in the king this and the king that, and the god of this and the god of
the fucking Roman Catholic Church. That's where they got all this shit from.
Exactly.
Anyways, we went way far down that one.
Well, but it's true. I mean that's why they won't release the stuff about aliens, is because of that. It's because of
they don't want mass hysteria.
But now I think now they realize that people are a little more accepting of the fact that
everybody's got their head up their ass, man. Nobody even gives a shit.
Yeah, it's true. So
nothing shocking anymore.
They released a bunch of that stuff, and you really didn't. Yeah, you were like, oh yeah, well, makes sense.
But I think so. That's the conditioning of the movies and shit like that. So the movies that they're making, there's truth behind them, and it conditions your mind over time, right? So we've seen so many fucking movies and TV shows about aliens and shit that now you're like, oh, they're real. Yeah, we figured they're
it's true. Like when you look back at like My Favorite Martian, they thought that was like funny. They were like, like there is actually somebody from Mars. But now we have done so much more footage that we've unpacked, and then it led us to, you know what? We should make it Independence Day or Alien, or we should make these movies where there could be things that are out there. And then we go and watch that and we go, man, that was a crazy movie, but I mean, it's possible, right?
And now that it's true, you're like, it doesn't really change, and it doesn't. I mean, like,
it doesn't change my mind at all.
Well, maybe not always, but
But I think most people always accepted the fact that there probably is something else out there. Especially
gotta be. I mean, come on. Yeah. It's just the probability is just...
And it goes from understanding space, which I guess the next couple of the moon landing and the flat earth go... And I said this last week, I'm of the Eddie Bravo mindset, which is don't believe shit. Yeah. So if you go into space and NASA and all of that with that I don't believe them, that's the only way that you can accept the next two things that I'm about to say, which are the moon landing and flat earth. The only way that you can accept those conspiracies and truly like open your mind to it is that you have to believe that they've lied to you about space. Right. And that what space is...
They made it all up.
They made it all up. Yeah. And... I mean, is this the Truman Show and we're all living in a bubble? And,
I suppose it's possible.
And they're watching us? Is this a simulation? Somebody's watching? Simulation. Is this the Matrix? You know, I don't know. But I do know that a lot of what they say about space is so fantastical that it makes me like, I mean, it could be a lie. Sure. Like, how the fuck do I know that what they've told me about space is real? How do I know? How do I know what they told me about the moon is real? About the gravity and what it looks like. I know I can see it. At night, I can look up and go, look, that's the moon.
It takes a certain level of faith.
It takes some faith. It takes some faith in science.
We can see that they built the fucking Hubble telescope, and what's this new telescope, right? We can see that they've done it. They have footage of all that. They have footage of them launching it.
Yeah.
We have footage of, essentially these rockets disappearing.
We think. Yeah. We think.
Well, you can see the fucking rocket.
We can see it disappearing up into something that we think is the sky. I mean, listen. You go if you go down this rabbit hole, you have to believe that like every time you've gotten an airplane, there's been some sort of controlled. They're like running a fucking screen underneath you, and they're just but then there's been airplane crashes. So a lot of it too, like I've let go of the fact. Originally, when I thought about this, I was like, "Fuck yeah, NASA's lied to me about everything." But then it was like, so many people have worked on stuff
that's worked there, massive coordinated effort that
it would take a lot of people to be in on the same thing.
Come on,
a lot of people to be in on the same thing. So I very much doubt it, but I just it's something to think about. Where I was like, okay, well, the only way that this works is
I do believe that the moon landing was faked.
Yeah.
And back to your point that they were so like there was this race to get to fucking the moon.
That's why they did it.
And then we've never gone back.
Well, I don't know. No, we have. After Apollo 11, they went back. I think they went back 3 times.
Oh wait, they played golf on it, right?
Yeah,
remember the dude that played golf on it?
Apollo 13 was supposed to go to the moon.
So is those footage way different than the first one? See, I've never really looked into this.
So actually, it's very interesting that you say that, because if you watch the second time that we went, that's where a lot of the conspiracy theories will say like, look at this footage, because there's one clip of an astronaut who falls over, and then with almost no effort is just picked back up. Now, there's less gravity on the moon, but there's still, he would have had to push or do something with his arms to where he would be like that. So it's
still have to have some kind of...
The footage is strange from the second one. The footage... Now, here's what I think. I think we went to the moon at some point, but it wasn't in 1969. No. It wasn't.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they were in such a race to get there that they had to prove.
We figured out flight in the 20s, sometime in the 20s.
Earlier than that, I think it was the teens. But.
Okay, in the teens, and then you're telling me in 1969. You're telling me 50 years later.
Yes, but see, this comes back to the alien theories. Is that they supposedly we got a hold of some alien technology, like there was a crash, and they did the reverse engineering, and so then because we had this technology and it went faster and faster as they got more and more into this craft.
But the technology that was on that first moon landing, I mean, if you look into it, it seems it's unbelievable. Here's what you're saying to me.
I don't think it takes a whole lot. The hardest part about that whole trip was getting off of the planet, I believe.
No, getting off the planet is not hard for us. We can do that. What's absolutely fucking bonkers, and I don't see the math behind, is that you aim, you shoot, you attach a ship to a rocket, The rocket shoots off. You disengage that rocket. You don't need it anymore because now you're in zero gravity, right? And now we are such good mathematicians that we have figured out how to glide through space, which we have very, very little knowledge of. We have figured out how to glide through it, aim at the moon, get into the moon's orbit. So we're going to take our giant spaceship. We're going to go into the moon's orbit. Cool. Now we're hanging out in the moon's orbit. We knew that was going to work, right? How the fuck they figured that out?
It's math.
Like, that'll definitely work. So once we get there, we're going to send out a module. We're going to send out another little pod that is going to float down onto the surface of a place that we've never been before, and we're going to land that thing on the moon. I mean, that's the part of it that I go, hold the fuck on. We just figured out how to get planes in the air. We just figured out how to go from fucking LA to New York. And you're telling me that you shot a ship up into zero gravity into space that you don't know about, and then you figured out how to glide.
But it wasn't the first time that we'd sent things into space, though. Supposedly, I mean, there was other space travel.
Supposedly,
right?
Supposedly,
and essentially, it's just all math. I'm not saying.
Supposedly,
I don't think that we landed on that either. I think that was.
I just don't think we did it in 1969. I think that maybe at some point we've been back, and at some point there's been more legitimate technology that got us there. But in 1969, you got to be fucking shitting me. And if you go back and you watch that whole thing about when they did it, they're in a hoopty. They've got shit pieced together with. They're like, yeah, we duct tape that over there, and it'll be fine. We'll make it. Like, no, I doubt it very much that you're gonna make it. But I don't know about the moon land and the whole Stanley Kubrick thing.
They just need to, they needed to beat Russia.
If you go down that rabbit hole too of Stanley Kubrick being paid for 2001: A Space Odyssey, that was the biggest budget that had ever been given to a movie. It was a monster. I don't know what it was for at the time, but it was like almost like $1 million at the time. It was a huge budget. No movie had ever been given that. And the movie's good. If you go back and watch 2001: A Space Odyssey, you're like, wow, for the time that they made this movie, the CGI or the way that they kind of did things, it was really cool. I don't know if they spent that much money on making 2001: A Space Odyssey. A lot of people from that time go, where did that money go? Like there were rumors of people the other conspiracy is that the studio was involved with the conspiracy, and they were paid by the government to listen. We'll give you the money so that he can make this really, really nice moon landing footage for us because we need this movie that looks incredible that we can put on TV. But even like how small TV was at that time. They hadn't even really figured out much about TV. TV was kind of brand new. It came around in the 30s and the 40s, and it was like all black and white and whatever. And now you're telling me that we're putting footage up from the moon. We're going directly from the moon?
Yeah.
And we're filming this live?
Yeah.
Nah, man.
Yeah.
Nah way. Flat Earth. I admitted in the last one that I was a flat earther for about a week, but that was just me watching a bunch of YouTube footage, and then I watched like one of the guys that like he was doing it the most, and he like at the same time as me becoming a flat earther, his videos were like popping off, and he was gonna have a live thing where he got somebody to take him up out of the atmosphere so he could see the Earth, and like he sees the curve of the Earth and he starts crying, and I remember watching the video and being like, oh man, well, if he doesn't believe it, he's like the main one. I was listening to all his videos, and if he don't believe it, this definitely is not true. So, yeah.
I think that
it's hard to get behind the flat Earth. It's hard to get behind the flat Earth.
I like the hollow Earth. Have you gotten into that one?
I've looked into the hollow Earth. It's hard for me because we do so much drilling. So. What are those people?
We're not drilling that far.
I mean, pretty far.
Well, again, it's not like...
So the idea of the hollow Earth is what? Like the core is hollow?
But there is no core, really. It's not the core like they've told us. You know, like we've been told like there's like a fucking nickel solid core. And then there's layers of it, and then there's like the fucking
magma
and then the mantle and the crust and all that shit, right? Well, supposedly that's. I'll send you some videos, but like in physics, so Einstein's theory of relativity then changed Newton's law of gravity, so that based on some of these numbers, if you run it, that the Earth is actually not nearly as, the mass isn't nearly as much as what they had figured with these different figures. And so there's a whole bunch of different things.
So in this, the Earth is more like the Earth is round
cheese.
still in the hollow Earth.
Yes, but it's more like it's full of holes and like tunnels and cheese and whatever. Anyways, there's like Middle Earth. And so, like, the craziest thing to me is, I think it's Lieutenant Dennis Byrd or whatever that was supposed to be, that, like, was the government sent him to explore the North Pole. And that he tells this story of getting to the North Pole and going into this beautiful place and, like, thousands of miles into this place. And what's really crazy is that, did you know that you're not allowed to fly over the poles, either pole?
Yeah.
There's no footage, there's no satellite footage of either poles, and if you can get it, it's blocked out. And supposedly, like, as you get closer to the poles, it gets warmer, and there's like light, and like maybe even like, how the northern lights and shit shine out of, and like you can see it on a bunch of different planets or whatnot. I forget what the
Aurora Borealis.
Yeah. Anyways, so and then also supposedly the Nazis. That's where the Nazis disappeared to. Like Hitler and his top guys and like 1 million people apparently went to Antarctica and have built this in the.
Yeah, send me. Oh, I'm gonna go down that for sure. I'll go down that for sure.
Because then they do the science and shit behind it. You're like, what the fuck?
Interesting.
I'll send you some.
9/11. Like I said,
the way they build these buildings, they are like massive structures, and there's absolutely no way flying a plane into it. Especially that high.
No way.
Was taking out the whole building.
No way.
It looked like a fucking
It looked like a demolition. And if you watch the conspiracy theory videos of like there's a guy that he does tests for the cops of when bombs go off, like demolition bombs or any kind of explosive, and he went down to when right after it happened and was testing tests. And there was demolition, there was like explosive dust all over the bottom. Now what they combat that with is that when the building got so hot and was coming down and everything was just steel on steel, it made like
it's like
no. And he even said, he's like, no, this is a different chemical that's in this dust. There's footage.
So rocket fuel only burns at a certain temperature, right? And to take out steel like that, you need a much
and like you said, if it's that high,
right?
Let's say the fire gets down Let's say it gets down half the building.
Yeah.
Okay. Well then, realistically, in your theory of that the fire is causing it to fall, then the top part of the building would have fell first.
Right. So if the top part
crumbled and it would have parts of it would have broke off.
Okay. So the way that they fell, right? It was momentum, right?
Yeah.
So if it was the top floors that were getting all this stuff, it wouldn't affect the bottom floors like that.
Not all at once.
No.
Not all of a sudden it just comes in on itself.
No fucking
way. Building 7 that had all the financial documents for like a bunch of different people, a bunch of high-end people, and it collapsed all on its own.
It probably took care of some things that we don't even know about. But the main thing is that nobody batted a fucking eye when they invaded Iraq.
Nope.
Nobody gave a shit. And it wasn't even Iraq.
It wasn't even Iraq. I mean,
and then they came out and they didn't find any weapons of mass destruction. But fuck, we're already here. We already got the oil.
Is it a coincidence that his father fought Saddam Hussein?
Oh,
is it a coincidence that family was first in the Gulf War where they wanted so badly? And what stopped George W. Sr. from going through with everything they wanted to do, the red tape. Well, you can't do this yet because Saddam hasn't necessarily.
Well, the reason we got into that war is because he invaded Kuwait, and
but
so
he hasn't
then we
done anything
went.
to
Right,
America.
we went to help Kuwait.
So the American people told George W. Sr., you can't go and kill Saddam Hussein because he hasn't done anything to the American people. He's only attacked Kuwait. You can't do anything. This has nothing to do with us. You got to stop this. So
he
George
created his own Pearl
So then
Harbor.
9/11 fixes that.
Created
No one
Pearl
batted
Harbor.
an eye. Go kill them all.
Yeah.
They had the highest.
All of them.
They had the highest enlist rate.
Yeah,
ever
we
in
all.
the history of this
everybody
country. Everyone was like, you know
bro.
what? I'm gonna go fucking kill him.
Because we watched that
We
shit
watched that shit on
live.
TV and we're like,
Everybody
oh my God.
remembers, where were you?
Where were you
and
on
I
9/11?
mean, like, the brainwashing that went on that day, bro.
Yeah.
The fucking Americanism.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, it makes me sick.
The
Because I
propaganda.
was part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, we all had American flags hanging
Part
off
of
our
it.
fucking
I didn't
front
have
doors.
American flags, but I was still, you know.
But, you know, like-
But then also, bro, what really pisses me off about it is that it really does condition your brain to think a fucking certain way. Because if I see, I mean, and I'm well past it now, but there's still that initial, like, judgment if I see anybody from the Middle East.
Especially at
Almost
an airport.
initially.
If you you see a Middle Eastern person in an
And
airport,
you got your eye on them and
Americans,
shit. Like,
yeah,
what the
they
fuck,
just go to
dude?
that, and it's
really pisses me off.
yeah, it's crazy. It's
really
crazy.
pisses me
And
off.
I 100% believe that there are things that we don't know about. Like you said, like it
For
took care
sure.
of things that we don't know about. You look at so many,
The
you know,
Pentagon. There's also like, isn't there like a fucking fighter jet like within seconds of all these fucking commercial flights if anything was to happen, and then for whatever reason
That
in
day?
these little not that day, not that day,
Not
they were
that day.
delayed or they had some fucking. Get the
like
fuck out of here.
50% of the people
the
that
Pentagon? There's no way a fucking plane's getting within miles of the Pentagon.
And if you see the hole that the plane made at the Pentagon, first of all, there's only one footage of the plane hitting the Pentagon. It's from a security of like a drive up, like where you drive up and you're like, checking in of like a parking lot.
Right.
And it doesn't look like a plane at all. It looks like a missile. It looks like a missile flew in.
From one of those F-15s that we
And
couldn't find.
if you look at the area that the Pentagon spot that got blown up,
Yeah, and
had
also, like,
all the
yeah.
secretive files from like the last 30 years from all these different senators.
And I think that if you look at the damage that it was done, and then you look at how a plane would have had to done that,
Yep.
like it would have had to like
It would have had
fly,
to fly
like
straight
really
to the ground.
low and almost like
impossible flight.
Come on,
Come on, man.
Get
I
the
mean,
fuck out of here.
and listen, people that I would talk to people in New York, they would get very upset with me because again, it was right there in their backyard. They knew people that died.
Only because we remember it. I mean,
Right. It hurts.
It was
them.
one of the like.
There's pain there. But I'm just saying, open your mind to the fact that the government does fucked up shit, and they have done fucked up shit
fuck with you.
to Americans
To
control
you.
your mind.
Yes.
So
That was
yeah.
extreme, and it hurts. And it hurts to even think that they would do that.
But it
that's
happens.
the kind of fucked up
Yep,
people they
definitely
are.
happens. And going into chemtrails, I mean, that's what chemtrails is about. There's a lot of different layers of chemtrails.
So I was watching this thing the other day about, it's true, like, all of the governments are fucking with controlling the weather. And apparently here in Texas is one of the main places where
ones.
they're fucking doing it.
No wonder we have some of the craziest weather that you'll ever see. We get some of the craziest.
So here's my thing. So they're absolutely doing this, right? They're pulling moisture, they're creating clouds, and then they're getting rainfall in places that wouldn't normally get it. So does that take rainfall away? I mean, you're changing the weather. It's like the butterfly effect.
See, I don't
right?
know because I think that this is so far beyond my comprehension. Like,
Yeah, a lot of this.
what they could, how they figured out that they can do this. First
Right.
of all, how some scientists was like, hey, you know, I can fuck with the clouds. And they were like, what?
We can do that.
And then that's just the weather part of it, which is wild. So are they deciding when hurricanes hit and where hurricanes hit? Are they picking when to cause a drought? Are they picking when to...
I think that's the side effects to
It
what
might
they
be.
can't
It
control.
might be. It might be because we fucked with it just a little
because
bit.
we've
the
changed
planet
it
fights
here.
back against us.
So you're fucking with everything.
But then there's also that they're putting shit in the air.
Yeah, I don't doubt that either.
You know, get into our lungs to where it controls us.
I mean, is it really that inconceivable that we don't need this many fucking people on the planet?
Yeah. Or that pesticides were a thing? Do we not understand that they sprayed pesticides all over vegetables all growing up?
Back to the movies are conditioning us. Thanos, everybody knows this. They're conditioning for half the fucking population to go.
Oh God, is that what you think? That's why you think they put Thanos out there?
It might not be for another 15 to 20 years, but you're going to see. Hold on. You're going to see that same theory.
But Thanos, that was what he believed in the comic books too, though.
Oh, was
that
it?
Was, yeah, in the comic books, that was his main.
I don't really know about. Yeah, the comic.
That was his main objective in the comics. To rap.
This is getting it into so. Then maybe the popular, I don't know, man.
I don't know, but I mean, and that goes into COVID a little bit. I think that COVID is the first kind of test that they ran,
right,
to see
if what we would, what can happen.
How big of a thing? How much can we wipe out? Okay, that wasn't that bad. We wiped out quite a few, but not as many as we thought we would. How much of a panic can we cause? Cool. Can we get them to quarantine in their homes? Oh wow, we got them to do that. You won't ever get it in Texas again, but you did do it at one point. You got us all to stay home. I say it again. Texas will never have a quarantine again. I guarantee it. You will never see a quarantine in Texas again.
They can absolutely do
it. For sure. Never. You know why? Because Texans are the loudest as far as the people. There's so many of us, by the way. The population in Texas is wild. It's full of gun wielding cowboys.
Yeah, but we all obeyed. We all obeyed
to a certain extent
for a while.
The rest of the country looks at us as we are the Wild Wild West.
True,
we're the ones that very.
So
first
then we're
the
problem. So then they have to do more tests on people like us.
Wow. Whatever.
And so then that's the conditioning. That's the conditioning part. It has to start slowly.
Let me tell you, the Texas governors and the people that are from Texas and people that are Texas police officers all the way down, they know that if, let's just say theoretically, the higher-ups came and said, hey, listen, we're going to be kicking down doors. This is going to be much more of a dictatorship. Like, we need y'all to get behind this, and y'all are gonna join us, and we're gonna control these people a little bit. Everybody from top to bottom who is in charge of a Texas government, judicial, whatever, they're gonna look at you and go, "Hey, this might work in your little blue state, but you're talking about a war. You are talking about chaos like you've never experienced in your life." You cannot go into Texan homes and say, hey, you got to do this. You can a little bit, and you might get away with it. And you're talking about in a blue or in a blue city that is Houston, Texas, that is Austin, that is Dallas, because there is such a big population. There is more left wing, but in middle Texas, where these guys are strapped for the apocalypse, there's no fucking way.
For sure.
Good luck approaching some of these cities.
Anyways,
They didn't either. Yeah, none of those cities in the middle. They were like, "What? I'm sorry. No, I'm gonna go down to the Piggly Wiggly and get me whatever the fuck I want. I need to go get a case of Milwaukee's Best every single day." No, they don't drink Milwaukee's Best.
It's Lone Star.
It's Lone Star. But yeah, I think that COVID, and this is a touchy subject because it can get you in trouble, but I don't give a fuck. Fuck you, algorithm. COVID absolutely was I mean, it was created in a lab. Planned. We've learned this now that it was created in a lab.
The biggest thing that we learned was the media manipulation. Yeah. That was the big. I mean, no. God. I mean, did you?
What was that little Keebler elf? I don't even know his name. Everyone else swears by his.
Did I send you that thing that video that Matt sent me about how it wasn't even a virus, that it was poison? Like it was like venom, like snake poison.
Oh Jesus! No, I didn't see that one.
I should send you that one too. That'll twist your mind a little bit.
But I mean,
the production on that one, you're like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, I have a lot of very dark thoughts about what they did with COVID, and it is because of the control. It is because of the media. What was that fucking Fauci? If I would have asked you 4 years ago who Dr. Fauci was, you would have had no fucking idea. And you get people preaching at you like Dr. Fauci is the fucking, he's the god. Like he is, well, Dr. Fauci said, like, what the fuck is, I don't care what that little tiny bitch said. I don't give a fuck what his weak ass immune system said. Get this fucking mask off me. I don't own a mask. I don't have one. I don't have one. I
still see people with masks.
Oh
dude.
my god, it blows my mind.
You know what it is now? I think did we say it? No, it's just the only people wearing masks now are ugly. We'll just have to assume that.
Yeah, they're all. Yeah,
I mean, like.
I get it.
You're ugly.
You're ugly. You're
ugly,
like, this is
girl.
better for me. I don't have to people looking at me and judging me. You know, like I'll just be ugly underneath my mask. And I think that's a lot of it. I also think that some people are just such sheep. Some people are such sheep. They will see anything.
But now it's far beyond sheep. Like if you were a sheep, you go with the herd. The herd ain't wearing masks. These are the people that are like either
they went and got vaccinated and
that's what I'm saying. They're like so far beyond the like
I don't know.
Into the fear realm.
I guarantee you they never quarantine in Texas again. I promise.
Those people will probably always wear masks for the rest of their lives.
Inside their cars, as they take showers, when they fuck.
That's sad.
I mean, it's just so sad. The other thing that I don't believe it, but I did see a whole thing about how birds are drones, or birds are robots.
All of them?
All birds are robots, yeah. And that they're flying around and they're watching us and they're listening to us.
So did they replace all the natural birds, or did we like?
That's the question.
Or have they always been?
You know, there's been times in history where you've seen like all the birds like fall out of the sky and die and stuff, and people have said like that's the robots like turning off or things like that. But I mean, people hunt birds, so it would be hard for me. I was talking about all birds,
like chicken too, because chicken's a fucking bird.
Sure that's a bird.
I got some of that in my house right now.
I'm pretty sure the turkey's still a thing.
So I'm eating robots.
Yeah, I didn't go all the way down that one, but I did for a second. I watched the video and giggled and said, okay.
Well, what would be even more? So apparently the technology is more like they're gonna be like robot flies. Like that's what they're like.
That's terrifying.
Something that's even smaller to where you're not.
Now, could I believe that they've like sent out one drone bird to give it a test?
There might be several of them. There might be a whole fuckload of them.
They're just hanging out.
All of them?
They're hanging out on a power line with these other live birds, and the live birds are like, what the fuck is up with this guy? He smells crazy. I don't think he has blood in him. And then, they're just, he never eats. He never shits. He just chills with us. He does fly with us perfectly, though. This is weird. Yeah, I could see that, but the fact you replace all birds, probably not.
Here's the problem. I don't think we have that kind of technology to. Have we ever been able to replicate bird flight? Because like what we have, like drone flight, we can do all that kind of shit, but it doesn't look the same way. You know what I'm saying? Like to build.
They've made animatronic birds. I've seen them
fly.
Yes, because if they make the plastic or whatever light enough, and then they can recreate recreate the wing motion. So it's not flight in the same controlled way where like a bird can like so perfectly like glide through the air, but I've seen it where they can get it to go in the air and they can get it to come down. But it's like you said, it doesn't look the same way. It's not natural where they've created flight the same way a bird seems. And to dive
seems like a more difficult thing to do.
Yes.
Than the drone technology.
Yes. But yeah. Man, this has been a 2-hour show.
Wow.
That's it for conspiracies. We went down all the rabbit holes. 4th down. UFC. We are gonna very briefly go through our 4th down here. This has been a 2-hour show. Thank you for sticking with us, Ivan.
What's up, Ivan?
We got. I'm gonna talk briefly about some UFC that's coming up, and one that just happened, which was Marlon Vera versus Dominic Cruz. It was actually a pretty good fight. Dominic Cruz was winning the first 2 rounds, but he doesn't have any power, so he would land these combinations, and it was like, all right, that was cool, but it didn't affect Marlon at all. And Dominic Cruz, you remember Dominic Cruz?
Yeah, he does a lot of the commentating and stuff now.
Yeah, and he's an older fighter for sure. And so he used to be the bantamweight champion. He was one of the first bantamweight champions, but he's it's a very like Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Israel Adesanya kind of style where he's just moving side to side a lot. But one of the things that he does to evade shots is he dips his head. So he'll dip his head out of the way to kind of move side and go out and get out. And Cheeto timed it perfect where he dipped his head and he kicked him square in the nose, mouth, just fucking bank, just knocked him the fuck out. If you want to see a cool knockout, go watch. Go watch
was telling me
kick him in the face.
It.
Yeah, it's pretty great. And then so coming up, actually it's this weekend is 278. It's Usman versus Leon Edwards. I will not bet against Kamaru Usman for the foreseeable future. I don't think Leon Edwards gets this done. I think Kamaru Usman fucks him up. This is the second time they fought. Usman already beat him by unanimous decision the first time. Paulo Costa is back and fighting Luke Rockhold. Both of these guys are back after a very long time. It was just a notable one to put on there. I don't think Luke Rockhold will win because I don't think he's fought in about 3 or 4 years, but he's had injury after injury after injury, so I'm going to guess because Paulo Costa has fought more, I'm going to go with Paulo Costa, but both of them are on their way out. Both of them are about to be not in the UFC anymore. And then speaking of not being in the UFC, oh my god, so Khamzat Chimaev is that new freak Chechnyan fucking, he can wrestle, he can strike, he's 185 pounds and he's a monster. And the poor Nate Diaz is being offered up as a sacrificial fucking lamb. He is going to get absolutely destroyed by this Chimaev. Nate Diaz hasn't fought in like 2 years, and the last time he did, he got fucked up by Jorge Masvidal. So I don't see good things for this at all. This is going to be a I think actually Nate Diaz lost to Leon Edwards too, but Nate Diaz is going to this is his last fight on his contract. He's been talking about how he wants out. Yeah, so UFC's like, all right, you want out?
He's been fighting for a while.
No worries, we're going to fuck you up. Cyril Gane and Tai Tuivasa have a fight night coming up after that. That's a pretty good heavyweight matchup. I like that a lot. I'm excited. And then 280. That is going to be fucking amazing. That is going to be a really, really good pay-per-view that they've got to set up. Charles Oliveira is going to fight Islam Makhachev. Technically, because he missed weight, Oliveira is not the lightweight champion anymore, but he is the lightweight champion because he fucking submitted Justin Gaethje, and he's the best. So, and I think it's the same thing here. Makhachev is he's a Khabib disciple. He's a wrestler, but you gonna wrestle with Charles Oliveira because he's gonna Brazilian jiu-jitsu the fuck out of you. Yeah. Oh, you want to go to the ground with him because he has the most submissions in UFC history. So you can get the fuck out of here with that. I think Charles Oliveira beats him pretty handedly. Aljamain Sterling is the bantamweight champion, and TJ Dillashaw is getting a fight to fight back for his championship. I like that fight a lot. Aljamain likes to rely on his grappling and his wrestling a lot, but TJ is very good at both of those, and I think he's a much better striker than Aljamain, so I'm hoping that TJ gets his belt back. He got kicked out for steroids as well. He got in trouble for steroids, and fuck all that. He should absolutely be allowed to take steroids. And then Peter Yan versus Sugar Sean O'Malley. This is the first fight that Sugar Sean is having that is against a very big name.
See the real lanky kid with the
crazy hair?
Yeah, the
but he's fought
hair.
Nobody up until this point. Yeah. He's fought a bunch of nobodies and he's killed them. And everybody, he's a big star. He's a big name. He's got a big YouTube channel. And Peter Yan, former champion, really, really good fighter. This is going to be a huge test for Sugar Sean O'Malley. The only loss that Sugar Sean O'Malley has been to Marlon Chito Vera, which is the guy that had the head kick. So O'Malley's been on a tear, and this will be a really big test for Peter Yan. And then Bilal Muhammad and Sean Brady are 170 pounders, and apparently this is because we all assume that Kamaru Usman is going to beat Leon Edwards. Whoever wins this fight should apparently get the next championship fight for Kamaru Usman. So, but yeah, very quickly on that. I didn't do a timer, but I know that we started this around 10:30 and it's 12:30 now. So this has been a very long podcast. but we had a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
And you're going to come back next week, and you're going to suck a dick from the back. I like that. I'm going to start bringing that back.
Catch these balls.
Catch these balls. Fuck off.